You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps, standing updates, and category leaders from Monday, April the 27th, 2020. Starting with this American League game, the Baltimore Orioles beat the Kansas City Royals by a score of 7-3, and the Orioles turned on their offense early, scoring 2 runs in the second, the third, and the fourth inning. The Royals put up a 2-spot of their own at the top of the fourth, but it was futile because the Orioles made it back up in that bottom of the fourth inning. More American League Baseball, the Rays beat the Indians by a score of 9-7, and the Rays started off on offense sharply. They scored 3 runs in the bottom of the first inning, had 2 runs in the bottom of the third. The Indians ended up coming back with a 3-run top of the sixth, but the Rays shattered their hopes with a 4-run bottom of the sixth inning to put them back on top, and that was a lead that they did not relinquish. Jalen Beeks now 5-0 on the season. Dominic Leone 1-1, and Nick Anderson has made it to 10 saves now this season. American League East baseball between the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. Final score of this one was 7-6. It took 11 innings for this one to be completed. Austin Bryce got the win. He's 2-1 now. Wilmer Font 3-3, and Brandon Workman now with 7 saves on the season. Also, check out Twitter. Austin Bryce, along with another member of the Red Sox organization, was traded to the Rangers today for a Rangers prospect. You can find more information about the specifics on Twitter. The Braves and Reds played each other in one of our games of the day here on Major League Baseball's virtual network. The Cincinnati Reds were able to win 4-2. Each team put up no more than 1 run in every inning that they scored. But the Reds just had a couple more 1-run innings and won by 2 runs. Trevor Bauer still undefeated. He's 4-0 on the season. Mike Soroka evens out now. He's 2-2. And Raisel Iglesias has reached 4 saves on the season with the Reds. NL Central Division Baseball. This one between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs. The Pirates were able to win, although they made it close. They were trailing in the 9th inning before scoring a run, which forced this game into extra innings, but they snap an 11-game losing streak with this win. Scored 2 runs at the top of the 10th to secure it. Rodriguez got the win. Craig Kimbrell blew the save, earned the loss as well, and Keone Kela now with 7 saves as the Pirates closer. Our other game of the day here on Major League Baseball's virtual network, the Oakland Athletics beat the Texas Rangers by a score of 7-3. This game held a lot of offense in it as well. Daniel Mengden got the win. He's 3-1. Lance Lynn now 2-4 as a starter in the Rangers rotation. Cardinals and Padres played each other, 2 of the stronger teams in the National League, but the Padres stay hot with a win here. Scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Cardinals managed 1 run in the top of the 5th, but each of these teams only scored in 1 inning. Dinelson Lamet got the win. He's 5-0. Adam Wainwright now 2-3, and Kirby Yates now has 10 saves on the season. San Francisco Giants beat the Philadelphia Phillies by a score of 6-5 in this game. The Phillies tied it up in the 9th inning after Tony Watson blew the save, but the Giants responded immediately and scored the walk-off hit in the bottom of the 9th inning. Tony Watson, though he blew the save, earns the win because he was on the mound going into the bottom of the 9th inning, so he's now 2-1, and Ranger Suarez is now 1-3 out of the Phillies bullpen. Let's take a look at standings now among both leagues, and we'll start the American League with the American League Eastern Division. The New York Yankees are 19-10. They remain in first place in this division. Trailed by the Rays, who are in the midst of a 6-game winning streak. They are 18-12, 1.5 games back of the division. The Baltimore Orioles are 16-12. They're 2.5 games back of the division now after beating the Blue Jays yesterday and the Royals today. The Blue Jays lost to the Red Sox today. They are 14-15 now, 5 games back of the division. And the Red Sox have reached 10 wins now this season after beating the Blue Jays. They're 10-21, 10 games back of the division. In the American League Central, the Chicago White Sox still lead this division. They're 19-10. Trailed by the Twins, who are 17-12, 2 games back of the division. The Cleveland Indians are 16-15. They're 4 games back of the division. And then the Kansas City Royals, 9-19, 9.5 games back of the division. They're on a 9-game losing streak after losing to the Orioles today. And the Detroit Tigers on a 7-game losing streak. They are 6-22, 12.5 games back of this division. And the Tigers now have the label of worst team in baseball. They have the worst record in baseballs as of right now. In the American League West, the Houston Astros still technically leading this division, but they have been caught now by the Oakland Athletics, who are on a 3-game winning streak and who beat the Rangers today. The Rangers, the next team closest to the lead. They're 2 games back of the division, but have lost 2 straight now, most recently losing to the Athletics. The Seattle Mariners are 13-17. They're 3 games back of the division, as are the Angels, who are in last place. They're 3 games back, and their record is 12-16. To the National League, starting in the National League East, the Washington Nationals still at the top of this division, 17-10 is their record. Miami Marlins still a half game back. They're 17-11. The Atlanta Braves lost to the Cincinnati Reds today, and they're pushed back now to 15-16. They're 4 games back of the division. Around where the Phillies are, 4 games back of the division, are the Phillies as well. They're 14-15 after losing today. And the New York Mets are still in last place. They're 10-18, 7.5 games back of the division. In the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers are 17-11. They still lead this division, trailed by the Cubs, who lost today. They're 16-13, 1.5 games back of the division. The St. Louis Cardinals are 14-15, 3.5 games back of this division. The Cincinnati Reds beat the Atlanta Braves today, and they move further up in the standings. They're 11-17, 6 games back of the division. And the Pittsburgh Pirates snapped an 11-game losing streak, and they reached 10 wins now in the season. They're 10-19. They move up a half game. 7.5 games back are the Pirates. In the National League West, the San Diego Padres reached 20 wins, and they're still in single-digit losses. They're 20-8 on a 4-game winning streak, leading this division. Los Angeles Dodgers did not play today, but they're 18-10, still on a 9-game winning streak, 2 games back of the division. The San Francisco Giants are 16-13 after winning today. They're 4.5 games back of the division. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 13-15. They're 7 games back of the division. And the Colorado Rockies did not play today, but they are 10-17, 9.5 games back of the division, and still in the middle of a 4-game winning streak, and in the middle of their 8 out of 10 wins over their last 10 games. Let's take a look at category leaders now amongst both leagues, and we'll start with batting average. In the American League, Ramon Laureano, 398 batting average. He still leads this category, though he's still on the injured list, but he does qualify with enough plate appearances to be on this leaderboard. Jose Abreu, a close second. He has a 395 batting average. And then Chris Davis, who had a good game today against the Rangers, now has a 388 batting average, and he has sole possession of third place now. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. had a rough game against the Reds, and he now has dipped below 400. He has a 398 batting average. Trailed still by Nolan Arenado with a 385 and Paul Goldschmidt with a 366. American League hits leaders. Jose Abreu still at the top of this list. Trailed now by Chris Davis, who has 45 hits. DJ LeMahieu also tied for second with 45. And then Miguel Andujar, the only other American League player with over 40 hits so far this season. In the National League, Jonathan Villar and Ronald Acuna Jr. leading this category, each with 43. Paul Goldschmidt has 41, and Nolan Arenado rounds out those who have 40 or more hits this season in the National League. At bats leaders, JD Martinez 127, and he leads this category in the American League. In the National League, Ozzie Albies with 129, and Bryce Harper, the only other National League player who has 120 or more at bats so far this season. Doubles leaders, Jose Abreu, Rafael Devers, Jose Iglesias, and Miguel Andujar all have 11, and they're all tied for first right now. Marcus Semien, Michael Chavis, Giancarlo Stanton, and Mike Trout each have 10, and they're the last players with 10 or more in this league for doubles. In the National League, Jonathan Villar still has 15. Ketel Marte with 12, still in second. Robinson Cano, Christian Yelich, each with 11. And Juan Soto has 10. And he's the last one with 10 or more in this league. Triples leaders, Jose Altuve has 4. Oscar Mercado and Whit Merrifield each have 3. And the list descends from there. In the National League, Jonathan Villar still at the top. He has 4 triples. Asdrubal Cabrera, Andrew McCutchen, and Hunter Pence all tied for second place. They each have 3 triples so far this year. Home run leaders. Chris Davis went deep in the game against the Rangers today. He now has 15, and he still leads the American League. His teammate Matt Olson has 12, 3 behind him for first place. And then Austin Meadows and Yoan Moncada each tied with 11 and tied for third place in the American League for home run totals so far this season. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. still leads this category with 11 home runs, and everybody below him hasn't reached 10 yet, but Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Max Muncy, and Corey Seager are all each tied for second with 9 in the National League. Runs batted in leaders in the American League, Chris Davis with 32. He's in first place, trailed by DJ LeMahieu, Austin Meadows, and Jose Abreu. Each are tied for second and each have 30, and no other American League player has reached 30 or more RBIs yet. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt has 28. He's trailed by Nolan Arenado and Cody Bellinger, who are each tied for second with 26, but nobody in the National League has reached 30 RBIs yet. Runs scored, Jose Abreu still tops this category. He's at 28. Yoan Moncada, his teammate, with 27 runs scored. And then Chris Davis and Matt Olson are each tied with 25 runs scored. Oh, and Miguel Andujar also with 25 runs scored in the American League. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. has 29 runs scored. He's trailed by Paul Goldschmidt, who has 24, and Colton Wong, who has 22. Stolen base leaders in the American League, Adalberto Mondesi, still with 8, still the leader in the American League. D. Gordon and Malik Smith each tied with 6 at second place. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. with 9 stolen bases. He still leads this league, trailed by Trey Turner, who has 8, and then Gerard Dyson, Jonathan Villar, and Tim LeCastro each tied for third place with 7. Walks leaders in the American League. Mike Trout and George Springer still lead this category. They have 20, and nobody else in the American League has reached 20 yet. In the National League, Rhys Hoskins with 23 bases on balls. He's trailed by Justin Turner, Freddie Freeman, and Daniel Descalzo, who all have 19. On base percentage, Mike Trout leads this category in the American League with a 483 OBP, trailed by Ramon Laureano with a 479 and Chris Davis with a 450. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr., a 480 on base percentage, trailed by Paul Goldschmidt with a 454 and Daniel Descalzo, who has a 446 on base percentage. Slugging percentage, leaders in the American League, Chris Davis, 845 slugging percentage. He helped that out, hitting a home run in today's game against the Rangers. Mike Trout with a 792 slugging percentage, and Yoan Moncada a 738. Trailed closely by his teammate Jose Abreu, who has a 726 slugging percentage, and he's 4th among American League players. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is still slugging 800 plus. He has an 824 slugging percentage, trailed by Nolan Arenado, who has a 740 slugging percentage, and Corey Seager, 714. On base plus slugging percentage, American League leaders have Chris Davis at the top, 1.294. Mike Trout in second. Ramon Laureano in third place. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr., a 1.304 OPS. That's on base plus slugging percentage. Nolan Arenado, a 1.184. And Paul Goldschmidt has a 1.159. Now to pitcher statistics. Wins among American League pitchers. Asher Wojciechowski has 5. And he's tied for first with Jalen Beeks, who also has 5. They each earned a win in their respective games today. In the National League, Walker Buehler is now in some company. He has company at the top of this list. Dinelson Lamet also has 5 wins now, and these two are tied for first among National League pitchers. Losses, still some undefeated arms in the American League. Several, as a matter of fact. The first 12 pitchers you see on your screen there still have yet to record a losing decision this season. In the National League, there are less players who are undefeated. Caleb Smith, Walker Buehler, Dinelson Lamet, Trevor Bauer, and Kevin Gausman make up that list. Everybody else in the league has one or more. Saves. In the American League, Brad Hand leads this category as a member of the Indians. He has 13 saves. Matt McGill and Nick Anderson now with 10. Everybody else with fewer. In the National League, Josh Hader with 12 saves, and he still leads this category among National League relievers. Sean Doolittle, Craig Kimbrell, and Kirby Yates each have 10, and they're tied for second place with this category. Everybody else has 9 or fewer. Earned run average among pitchers in the American League. Masahiro Tanaka leading this category right now. A 1.63 ERA he has. Everybody has a 2+ ERA in the American League. In the National League, a couple more pitchers who have less than a 2 earned run average. Walker Buehler, 1.03. Trevor Bauer, 1.10. Mike Soroka, 1.49. And Caleb Smith, 1.85. Everybody else has 2 or more. Home runs allowed among American League pitchers. Brad Peacock, Gio Gonzalez, Frankie Montas, Chase Anderson, Brandon Bailey, Kyle Gibson, Lance McCullers Jr., John Means, all tied for first. They've given up 2 home runs this season. National League home runs allowed leaders. There are 4 pitchers who have given up 1 home run to lead this category. Robbie Ray, Caleb Smith, Trevor Bauer, and Garrett Richards, all tied with 1. Shutouts among American League pitchers. Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka still top this list, and everybody else you see there on your screen has 1. Shutouts among National League pitchers, a far less number, but these names are still the same. Walker Buehler leads with 2 shutouts in the National League. Everybody else on the list is tied for second place with 1. Strikeout leaders among American League pitchers. Garrett Cole, 51 strikeouts, still leading this category. Lucas Giolito has 50, and everybody else has 49 or fewer. National League pitcher strikeout leaders. Clayton Kershaw with 53 strikeouts. He and Chris Archer are 1 and 2 on this list. Kershaw leads with 53. Archer leads with 50, and everybody else has 49 or fewer. Complete games in the American League. Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka, each Yankee teammates, and each top this list with 2. Everybody else has 1. In the National League, Walker Buehler leads this category with 2 complete games, and there are more names on this list who have gone a full game, but the rest of them have 1. Innings pitched, seeing the workhorses here among American League pitchers. It's led by Shane Bieber, who has 44 innings pitched. In the National League, Johnny Cueto has 43 2/3 innings pitched, and he's tied at the top with Walker Buehler, who also has 43 2/3 innings pitched this season. Walks allowed among American League pitchers. Carlos Carrasco has walked 5, and that allows him to lead this category. Everybody else has 6 or more. In the National League, Madison Bumgarner has relinquished 3 walks, and it's not too close to anybody else. Rick Porcello the next on this list, and he has 7 walks. Everybody else with 8 or more. Whip among American League pitchers. Masahiro Tanaka, Zach Plesac, and Carlos Carrasco each top this list. Each have a whip under 1. In the National League, Walker Buehler, Mike Soroka, and Pablo Lopez each with 1 or under 1. Pitching wins above replacement among American League pitchers. Chase Anderson, Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole, Carlos Carrasco, and Eduardo Rodriguez each with 1 or more in terms of WAR. National League pitchers. Walker Buehler, Robbie Ray, Yu Darvish, Chris Archer, Caleb Smith, Trevor Bauer, Steven Strasburg, and Mike Soroka each have 1 or more on top this list. That's the top 8 who have a WAR of 1 or more. And hitters, wins above replacement. Mike Trout tops this category, along with Chris Davis, Yohan Moncada, and DJ LeMahieu. They all have a 2 or more batting WAR. And in the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. is still the only player in baseball above 3. And the other 2 players that top this list have above 2. That's Nolan Arenado and Jonathan Villar. These have been your game recaps, standing updates, and category leaders from Monday, April the 27th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's Virtual Network.